Hi,
All right,
I'm
so
Will
for the
Alford,
business
and I'm a
model
licensed
canvas, I
U.S.
just want to
Customs
point out a
broker,
couple
and
of
this is
things.
my
I won't go
business
through the whole
idea.
thing with you, but for
The
customer
Department
segments,
of
I
Homeland
added on
Security and
that
Customs and Border
in
Protection
addition to licensed
now
customs
require
brokers and
licensed
companies who
customs
have
brokers to
multiple
obtain
licensed
36
customs
credit
brokers on
hours of
staff that
continuing
are also look
education
out
every
to
3
companies
years.
that provide
My
training to
business idea
a
is to
similar
provide the
customer base.
required
So
trainings to companies and
companies who
individuals, either in
offer trainings but
person or
won't
via
be able to offer this
teleconference.
particular type of training or
This is
need
a
some
niche
extra help
market.
for
There are
this
only
type of training,
approximately 16,000 active customs
reach out
brokers
to them
operating
as
in the United
well.
States.
I also wanted just
But
to
these requirements
point out
are in
once again
place.
that
When they're
we
in place, they
are
will be
looking at a
required for customs brokers to
2024
keep their
start
licenses.
date rather than the
So this is a
2027.
unique opportunity
Although
for
it's
3
more of a
reasons. One,
testing
it's
period,
a
if
new
you will, while the
requirement,
government's not going to
so the
require
market is
people
not
to take these
flooded
36
with
training
companies
hours. It
offering
is a
these
good
services.
opportunity for me to
Two,
take
new requirements mean
the
confusion.
time
It's a
to
prime time to solve
develop,
people's
fully
problems
develop,
before
and
they
get
become
to
a
a
problem.
ready to
And
go
three, time. This
place
goes into
by
effect
2027. And
technically
there could be some requirements
2024
from the
through
government
2027 as a
in
testing
2024 that
period,
maybe
but
take
then 2027 is
12
when they actually go
hours
into
before
effect.
2027, something like
So
that.
this
So
allows me the time to
it's good for
probably
me to
set
go
up
ahead
a
and get my
company,
website
get
started,
accredited by the government
get the
agencies, get customers,
accreditation from
understand
the
their
government,
needs,
and also
and be
be
up and
ready
running
to
by the time these
get
go
on
into
different
effect.
lists and figure out my advertising and
Moving on
other
to
parts of
service
my business.
offering.
And one thing
What
that
is
was
your
pointed
product or
out
service? It's a
from
service, and it will
my
provide the
classmates,
required training for
Grant
Customs
actually
and Border
pointed this out from
Protection and partner
government
government
publications
agencies,
to get
so
on
that
a
licensed
list
customs
for the
brokers can
government where they
continue
endorse you.
to keep their
Essentially, with my
licenses.
experience with the
And when you think of
government,
partner government agencies, you're
is
thinking
not really an endorsement they
USDA,
give you, but they will be on
FDA,
listing. Hey, here's a
EPA,
licensed customs
government
broker. Here's a
agencies such as
list of
that.
them. They
That
go hand in
specifically say
hand
it's not
with
an
the U.S.
endorsement,
Customs
but
and
being
Border
on that
Protection.
list
Is very valuable in
how does
and
your
of
service differ
itself.
from an
So
idea? So
another thing I'm doing
my
when I'm reaching out
service
to
does differ from an idea
customs
because
this
it will
week is
provide the
to say,
necessary
hey,
service
when are you going to
that I have
give
the
out the
skills
requirements
and
for
accomplishments to
accreditation?
back up.
Also,
So this
how do
is
I
a
get on those
concrete
lists
idea
for the different
for
various government agencies? So
to offer
Grant,
something
thank
that
you for
is a
that.
service
And
that's
Grant,
needed out there
Christina, I
in the
think you
world.
both have comments. So
Why
thank you
will
for
people
what
want
you
to
said.
purchase it?
I appreciate it. I'm
This
always
is
looking for ways
a
to
government
make my idea better, make my
requirement for
business
customs
more
brokers
efficient,
to
be
keep
more
their
successful. And
licenses. So
also to
it's a
Caitlin,
really good
thank you as
motivation for
well. I
people to
look
use
forward
this
to hearing
service.
from all of you again.
Who is the competition in this
Again, I'm not
industry,
going to
and
go
how does
through
your
all
potential
these
customer currently feel
points
about these
again.
other
I'll just let
competitors'
you look at
offerings?
it for a second.
So,
You can, of course, have
as I alluded
pause.
to in the 2-minute pitch, there
Anyway,
are
thanks
no
everyone so
current
much. I
companies
appreciate it. I
offering
look
this
forward to
because
providing
no
updates
one
next week to you, and I look forward to
they're
reading
not
everything that
in place yet.
listening to
And
all
I
of
actually
your new
checked
updates this
the
weekend.
Customs and
All right,
Border
take care,
Patrol,
everyone.
Border Protection website recently, every day actually, several times, and they still have not posted the requirements for getting accredited. So I'm actually reaching out to them via email to try to get a jump start on this to see what the requirements might be or when they might be coming down the pipeline, so that way I can be prepared when that happens. Um, Nonetheless, I'll get into that a little bit later on, but there's no current competition. But I do assume that companies that offer different types of trainings for customs brokers in this field will be offering similar services in offering this training. So customers use these companies because of name recognition and just because they're kind of the only ones there for this. But in my experience, they don't appear to be loyal to these large companies. It's just a matter of convenience, which is something I'll have to work against. All right, so service offering continued. Where's my market? This is going to be nationwide, remote, and in person. So in my business model canvas, I point out that I'll travel to locations to give these trainings in person, but I also hope to offer self-guided trainings, if you will, via internet site or possibly even a text-based version of it, or physical copy of the text. That's still in the works. The minimal required feature set for my product service will be established and approved trainings, access to knowledgeable resources, people that work in my company, a website where you can do your self-service trainings or just find out information about the products and the requirements. And also, like I've just mentioned, possibly physical text trainings. What inspired this idea? So as a licensed customs broker, these regulations apply to me as well. It came kind of as a surprise earlier this year that, hey, you're now going to have to take continuing education to keep your broker's license. It's been something that had been talked about for a while, but there were no real legs on it. Then Customs came out with their Federal Register notice saying, hey, this is something you have to do. So I had already been thinking about opening a business actually, and I just couldn't quite find the right idea. And then saw this and think it's a unique opportunity to get it started. So I'm really glad this class correlated with this time frame. All right, what assumptions have you made that have driven you to this point? So the assumptions I've made are licensed customs brokers need this training. It's more of a fact than an assumption. There will be more people looking for this training than the companies that offer it. So I mentioned there are a few large companies that I imagine would be offering this, and maybe a few other people like myself got this idea. And I'm also assuming that I can be accredited by the various government agencies that have to do the accreditation. So those are the assumptions I'm making. Hopefully, they're correct. And do you have any unique insight into the market dynamics or any technological shift that makes this a fresh opportunity? So yeah, so basically, I have the insight of a licensed customs broker, and I've worked with numerous licensed customs brokers. I understand how we think, and I've actually gone through the trainings myself from some of these more established companies, and I do see some ways that they're lacking. There's lack of personality, lack of true understanding of the material. But you have to counter that with people are just sometimes going through these trainings just to get them done. So I have to offer it in that way as well, not add too much fluff to them. All right. So next, we're going to move on to customer information. Who is your customer, user, payer, and how are these different from each other? So typically, these will be the same person. So the customer through my site and the search engine optimization, I'm going to target people like myself who just want to get the training themselves, keep their license, and move on. So they'll be the user, customer, and the payer. However, there are companies out there who will pay for the trainings for their employees. And in this case, the company will be the payer and the customer, while the user would remain the licensed customs broker employee of the company. And how can you reach out to them or reach each of them? I'm sorry. So basically, word of mouth through the current contacts I have, social media, I have LinkedIn, things like that. Probably create some more, Twitter, Instagram, things like that. Advertising in well-known publications in the trade world and supply chain world. Uh, Use website search engine optimization. So get your Google searches where you see my name first or up there at least. Um, will need to be active to reach companies, especially the larger ones who typically only utilize top companies in any industry. So I know working at many of the top companies on the Fortune 500 that if you're looking for a supplier or some sort of vendor, that they're only going to take the top 10 on that in whatever field it may be in, just because they need people who can produce. So I will still reach out to these large companies. I want to try to hit a home run with them. Maybe they're like, hey, we're not happy with this large company and we'd like to give you a shot, or maybe my price will be better. Who knows? But still a work in progress. But I'm thinking my primary focus might be to reach out to small and medium sized companies and to individuals themselves as I roll this out. I misspelled roll, I see now, which irks me, but that's okay. ROLL this out. Um, yeah. So again, I will definitely keep reaching out to the large companies to see what their appetite is, but we'll see what happens. And then how is your business customer different than the consumer? So as I mentioned above, some companies will pay for the trainings for their employees, in which case the company will be the business customer and the consumer would be the LCB employee. And now my value proposition. Do I have a clear value proposition? I believe so. Again, this is a required service, and so this can be a necessary service by my company given by qualified trade compliance professionals. This will save companies time, money, and hassle if they sign a subscription service with me, for example. Like, hey, there's 32 credit hours due each week, 36 credit hours due every 3 years for your triennial reports. Then hey, let's do 12 credit hours each year, or we can do all 36 in 1 year, whatever it is. But just have them where they know that they're going to come to me. That's going to be a service we provided. I'll have the updated trainings. That way, their employees aren't losing their licenses. They're not having to go through extra steps to get reinstated. They're not having to take a test again that's notoriously difficult to pass. And it's also going to prevent risk by having knowledgeable compliance professionals on their staff. And also, employee satisfaction could go up by giving them ongoing career education. And I know that's something that several companies I've worked for have provided some type of reimbursement for things like that. So I think it's a good service to offer your licensed customs brokers. And if your customer is part of a company, who makes the purchase decision? So I think I just went through this, but many companies either reimburse employees for continuing education credits or host course offerings for employees to engage with for free. So in the case of the former, I would definitely reach out to the customer directly. So the employees are going to get reimbursed for what they pay for. So I would be reaching out to them directly. But for the latter, I'd reach out directly to the businesses. However, I do see the benefit of whichever one that company does is reaching out to the company directly, because perhaps if they do, the employees are responsible for searching, maybe I can convince the business, say, hey, well, just throw my name out there if your employees ask you about who to go to for this type of service so they can keep their license. And so that's my thought there. Just reach out to businesses and find ways to reach individuals as well. Say, whoever is responsible for making this purchase, check out my website, check out my offerings. All right, for the business model canvas, I'm just going to go through a couple of quick changes. First off, the for customer segments, licensed customs brokers, companies who have licensed customs brokers on staff, and then also added companies that provide training to a similar customer base. So perhaps there's companies out there providing similar trainings, but not this training, that they can refer people to me, or I could work with that company in doing that. And so for me, I do want to say thank you to everyone on the team that's in the group who's provided some input to me. I do appreciate that. And Grant, I will look into the government publications list again. I do believe in my experience with government that they basically say, here's a list of people that you can go to for this. But that in and of itself is great. Even if it's not an endorsement, at least I'm on that list. And the only other thing I can think of for this list would be for, besides accreditation and the additional, working with companies that provide similar trainings, but not this one, would be the getting information from customs on how to get on that list. Actually, so my emails are ready to go for when is the accreditation process going to be released, and how do I get on these government lists. So anyway, I won't take more of your time. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it, and I look forward to listening to everyone's presentations and to providing more information next week. Bye bye.